Welcome to the Early Wedge Tuesday Best Bet Show. I am your host, Eric Cohen. If you had JJ Spawn and won a lot of money on Sunday, congratulations, because I sure didn't. But hey, it was a great U.S. Open. It was exciting. We're going to find out from two guys who were on site what they actually thought. But first of all, congrats to Sia. He had a profitable weekend. He's one of the few that had a profitable weekend. Had that Sam Burns top 20. That was nice. But hey, as a whole, Sia, Jason, and I went 5-2 on matchup wagers. I hit that over on the winning score by one stroke. JJ Spawn, thank God you didn't get an eagle there on 18 somehow. But nonetheless, I will take it, and we'll go from there. So we welcome back Patrick McDonald, who was at Oakmont. We welcome back Jason Sobel, who was at Oakmont. And then we also welcome the great Sia Nejad, who's one of the best golf bettors that I know and probably on the planet. Patrick, I'm going to start with you. How was Oakmont, and how are the Oakmont bathrooms?
I will say, I'll start this story by giving a shout out to Alec from Western Pennsylvania. He approached me on the 11th green saying, "Hey, huge early Edge fan. I recognized you from there." I think it was one of those moments where, in college, I won this fundraiser where I got to meet a member of the Black Eyed Peas. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm meeting Will.i.am minimum, Fergie, if I'm lucky. And lo and behold, it's the dude with the ponytail, Taboo. And so I think that is how Alec probably felt meeting me. But nonetheless, met a fan out there. We appreciate you, Alec, in the chat. So just had to give him a shout out.
Yeah, and by the way, we had somebody on last week's show who said that they saw you from afar, but that you were talking to the bigwigs and he didn't want to bother you. But nonetheless, you were spotted multiple times throughout Oakmont.
Yeah, I was cosplaying as a USGA official. Had my Oakmont gear on, just trying to slither into the interwebs and get all the dirt for you guys.
Sobel, how was you tried. Sobel, how was the rest of your weekend out there? JJ Spawn gets it done. Did you ever think he would have a chance to win before the 71st hole?
No. And I'm really glad that I just stopped live betting. I was too busy to really sit there and think about it and go after. If I was sitting at home this past weekend, I would be out a lot of money because I would have kept live betting everyone besides JJ Spawn. The one thing I've said about Jay, I love JJ. I interviewed him after every single round this past week. He is a sweet guy. He's as nice as could be. He gives you thoughtful answers, but he admits he's anxious. He gets nervous. I don't like betting guys that get nervous. He just doesn't seem like he's fully confident in himself. And so I wouldn't have been confident in him. The fact that he got it done, I think moving forward is going to give him a lot of confidence. But no, EC, to answer your question, if I was sitting at home and live betting and watching the tournament, I would have had 19 other bets on 19 other players and nothing on JJ Spawn, and I would have gotten absolutely destroyed.
This guy right here, Sobel, Tyrrell Hatton, Bob McIntyre. I was just adding, I had Sam Burns from the other day. Sia, you had a Sam Burns outright ticket. Pretty gross to lose like that with that final round.
Yeah, and by the way, I was live betting it too. I initially doubled down on Sam Burns when it was like a 3 or 4 way tie, and then I did hedge a little bit. I caught some JJ Spawn, but I lost money in that particular hedge. Yeah, the Sam Burns thing is, listen, I got a little lucky 2 weeks ago hitting the way I hit Ryan Fox, but I really thought Sam Burns was going to pull that off. Well, even after the delay, I was thinking he still had a really good chance. And then we know what happened on the 15th hole, where, by the way, he wasn't playing well, but he had just gone par, and he was in the fairway, and he was still tied for the lead. Like, he very well could have won that tournament if things went a different way. But I will say this, JJ Spawn went out and grabbed the tournament. Certainly seems like a deserving champion.
All right, Patrick, you're the one. I'm going to rely on you for some historical significance. The better putt, more famous putt in your opinion, Nick Taylor a few years ago at the RBC Canadian or JJ Spawn this weekend? Okay, Sobel, I'll get to you in a second.
What are we talking about?
I'm actually curious. What would you say, Patrick?
Between not knowing Keegan Bradley could play on the Ryder Cup team this year, potentially, and this, I don't know what we're going to do with you, EC.
I would say Nick Taylor.
I can't do this right now.
Are you Canadian?
I would say Nick Taylor.
Thank you, Sia.
Absolutely not.
That was to win. Like he needed Spawn needed 2 putts. It was like not going to be a big deal if he missed that putt.
He won a major championship.
It's a major championship.
No, listen, the optics of Nick Taylor doing what he did at the RBC Canadian Open to win in a playoff against Tommy Fleetwood. Listen, you could characterize bigger as, okay, the bigger tournament, but in terms of the moment, I'll take Nick Taylor every time. That's not even close to me. I thought you were laughing the other direction.
So did I.
It might have been a better putt. Like if you're just looking at like objectively, like
I don't even think it was a better putt.
It was much tougher green. Yeah, you might be right, Patrick. No, like the significance of what JJ Spawn did on the 18th green at Oakmont is like worlds away from what Nick Taylor. And take nothing away from Nick Taylor. All of that said, guess what, guys? I'm sitting down with Nick Taylor tomorrow, and it's like the first thing I'm going to ask him. I'm going to be like, "So, JJ Spawn's putt better than yours? What do you think?"
Nick Taylor's putt is replayed 1 week a year. JJ Spawn's will be replayed multiple weeks a year.
Turtleman 137 in the chat says Nick Taylor easy.
Okay, rest our case. Turtleman come on, come on.
Just real quick, if he needed that putt to win the tournament, we're having a different conversation. But he didn't, and it probably would have run 3.5, maybe 4 feet by, and he probably would have hit it, and he still would have won the U.S. Open. That's why I'm distinguishing the two.
I love being on the side of the attorney here. Fred George asks a great question. He says, "Are they going to change the USGA logo to JJ Spawn?"
No, because it's a bigger tournament, and he made a bigger putt at the bigger tournament. So you don't have to change the logo. Nick Taylor, that tells you everything you need to know. Nick Taylor made one at a tournament that's like, well, that's the biggest thing that ever happened here. We'll just change the logo.
I mean, the chat is with Sia and me on this. There's no wrong answer. All right, let's get right to it.
There is. It's Patrick's and Jason's. That's the wrong answer.
That's why it's good being on the side of the attorney.
I had a ticket on Nick Taylor that week, too. I was watching that on a plane going to LACC for the U.S. Open, and I hit a big one on Nick Taylor. So this isn't a bias like, oh man, I had Tommy that week. I had Nick Taylor. It's not even close.
I had Tommy, so
maybe
a little.
Ouch.
That's why you never bet Tommy outright. Then again, it was in Canada. So all right, let's go to storylines. Jason, we're going to start with you. All right, so we go from the U.S. Open, this hard golf course, to the Travelers, where you are now in Connecticut. Talk about the change of mindset.
Yes, allow me to be the only person that will point out all week that Oakmont and TPC River Highlands are like a little bit different. Green's not as quick. Fairway is not as narrow. The rough isn't as juicy. I don't know. Anything else? Look, this is a tournament. We know what we're going to get. It was raining all day today, so no sub-air system at TPC River Highlands. Expect the course to be playing nice and soft. We could see a number that starts with 5 on Thursday morning because that's just kind of what happens at this golf tournament. Guys get hot and they can go super low. I expect that to happen this week. I think I saw Jeff Sherman had golf odds on Twitter. He does a great job. He had 61.5 is the over under for low first round score. And I was like, whoa, that's really low. And I started looking at it. I'm like, you know what? It might be the under, actually. We could see something lower than 61.5. So this is going to be a completely different test. I don't take into account too much of what happened last week at Oakmont just because it's so different. In fact, if anything, I'm fading the guys who are in serious contention. Just all the physical and mental energy they used up at Oakmont is going to not serve them as well this week.
Interesting. All right, so we're fading Spawn, fading Sam Burns, Bob McIntyre, among others. We'll talk about that as the show goes along.
McIntyre's right.
Okay, fair. Sia, who are you looking at this weekend as far as top of the board?
The first thing that came to mind was some of these names that came up on the DFS show yesterday, which, by the way, is in everybody's feed. It was actually a really good show from a lineup construction standpoint and things of that nature. And by the way, I wasn't going to say this right now. I was going to say it at the end of the show. The live chat tomorrow is at 4:00 on this YouTube channel, and it's me and Mike McClure. It's going to be a really, really good show. I'm curious what these second tier of golfers are going to do here, because I'm starting to think, and I'm not sure, and I would honestly, we'll see when we get to the rest of this show, what you guys think of names like Hovland this week, Ludwig this week, Xander Schauffele. I think Xander's back. I really do. I think he's maybe going to prove it this week. I don't have him as an outright, but I certainly am afraid enough of him to have my outrights in the without Xander, Rory, and Scotty market. And I'm just really curious which of these second tier players behind the first tier of Scottie Scheffler really steps up, whether it's this week or over the next few weeks, because I do think there's been a big gap between, obviously we had the Rory moment, but outside of that, there's been a big gap between Scottie Scheffler and Cantlay, Morikawa, Hovland, Ludwig. I'm leaving out 5 or 6 names. Justin Thomas had his run too, but I think we're going to see someone else step up here. I actually think it's Xander, but I'm just curious what everybody thinks as we go through this show.
Boy, I'm with you. See, I like Xander a lot. Almost put him in my outrights. We'll see how that plays out later in the show. My storyline, I'm actually going to ask Patrick for this one about this one because he was on site last week. So does Rory McIlroy for this week become an honorary member of the Do Not Bet list after his comments at Oakmont?
Wow. Which comments are you talking about?
The fact that he said he didn't care about golf.
He said he's looking ahead to the Open, and he's obviously got a big move coming up after this week, moving to London. Houses on the market in Jupiter. So, yeah, I could see, what is he, 12 to 14 to 15 to 1.
I wouldn't play him at 30 to 1.
DC.
Wouldn't play him at 30 to 1.
So
Go ahead,
put it on the list. Rory McIlroy under 30 to 1 on the
for this week only. For this week only. Okay, go ahead. You go ahead, Sobel.
So the whole what's eating Rory McIlroy right now question is it's the biggest topic in all of golf. I mean, I met with a buddy. We had dinner last night. He sat down. He's like, "What's up with Rory?" First question out of the gate. I mean, everyone's talking about it. First of all, this is why when people say, "Oh, you media guys, why do you need to talk to these players all the time?" Well, we talk to them, we ask them questions so we know how they're feeling and what they're thinking, and then we have answers to these questions as opposed to everyone just sitting around going, "What's up with that guy? He's not talking, and he seems mad." That said, Rory has just undone a lot of the goodwill and the good PR that he got after winning at Augusta. I think
we lost Sobel there.
No, we got him.
Oh, we got him. We got Sobel? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, there you go. Go ahead. You lost me. Yeah, sorry about that.
I think that
my bad.
I'm laughing at Patrick chuckling at you.
I was like, wait a second. Everybody's
okay. You're on the ball today.
I think there's a little bit of a David Duval thing going on right now, and I don't think it's going to be a long-term thing. I don't think it's, I'm, reached the mountaintop and now I'm done. But I do think in the very short term, Rory sort of felt like, I did it. I got there. Now what? And the answer is now you go play golf again and try to win next week. And that's not a great answer for a guy who just accomplished the main goal in his entire career. I think he'll get back to the point where he gets motivated. I think that motivation comes next month at Portrush, and I don't know about other than that, but he seems very angry right now. I'm not sure where the anger stems from. People are still suggesting the driver thing from last month. That's not it. Just a lot of weird stuff going on with him right now. Long story short, don't bet him this week.
There you go. Do not honor or do not bet list. All right, Sia, I'm going to come to you for this one. You had a Sam Burns ticket last week. David Talk wants to know your thoughts on the drop that wasn't on the 15th hole for Burns in that puddle or that water.
Yeah, the relief that should have been. Honestly, Jason and Patrick are better suited to answer this question than I am, but it seems like universally there are people, I feels like 99% to 1% that think he should have gotten relief. And it really did change the trajectory of his tournament. You could make the argument he wasn't going to win anyway, but again, he was tied for the lead in that moment. It was pretty obvious that he was having some issues there with just almost being in a puddle of water. And you saw when he actually hit the ball, how much water popped up there. So the fact that he called on one and then two officials and they said no, I think it's another interesting question that I don't think has been discussed. And it's also kind of immaterial is, well, what if it was Scottie that was asking for relief, or maybe somebody that was more of a superstar, like a Rory, for example, than a Sam Burns? Would they have potentially gotten the treatment that's, the superstar treatment, if you will?
Scottie asked for relief on that hole and didn't get it.
Who did?
Say it again.
Scottie asked for relief on that same hole and didn't get it.
Was it the same situation though? Yeah. Okay.
There you go. Okay.
Okay.
So look, I think it's a bad break, but I also think that Burns handled it extremely poorly. He let it affect that shot, the next shot, and the next shot after that.
Yeah. It's a great point. Let's move on to FRLs. And you couldn't make this stuff up as you look at the FRL. I mean, seriously, Patrick McDonald. Who is your first round lead? I know we're looking at it on screen. Can't make this up. Tell us why the logo is your first round leader.
He's playing great golf. You know, he was T23 at the U.S. Open, kind of exactly what you want. I feel like you dip your toes in contention a little bit, but not really. He was alongside Scotty Scheffler that final day. Before that, nice top 15 at Canada, contended there at Muirfield Village too. Finally putting well, which is huge for Nick Taylor. His history here is poor for whatever reason. Not really sure why. He's a stone's throw away from his home country, right? It's just around the block pretty much. So I think Taylor's one of those guys who we know can go low. As Jason said, you're going to have to on Thursday. And I think 60-1 is a pretty tasty number.
So I'm looking at this odds. Sobel, is Ricky Fowler really 50-1 or is it 500-1?
50-1.
He's 50-1 to be FRL.
Yeah.
Ricky Fowler.
Yeah.
I assume that was a typo. And I know that producer Matt doesn't make mistakes. I'm going, what's up with the 50 to Ricky Fowler? The same guy? We sure about that? What do you like about Ricky to be the FR? Because we know he's not going to contend at the end.
I don't know. Now you got me looking it up. Maybe I got something wrong here. I thought he was 50-1 for.
Let's see.
All right. Well, while Sobel looks that up, Sia, give us your 4-pack, and then we'll go back to Sobel on this one.
Yeah, 55-1. I'm seeing one.
It's not bad. It's better.
Okay. It's fine.
Sia, you go with your 4, and then we'll go back.
All right. I'm going to start with Cameron Young. I like him for this entire tournament. So give me Cam Young, who, by the way, was T9 here last year, T4 at the RBC Canadian Open, T4 at the US Open, two obviously different types of courses. He's getting it done really sustainably. Yes, it's a lot with the putter, but he's like crushing it with the ball striking again. Recent form, course history. He's checking all the boxes here. So I like him potentially to win this tournament, but certainly at 40-1 to be a first-round leader. By the way, these are all morning tee times. Harry Hall, I love that he can lean on the putter, and he's actually more accurate off the tee than I remember him being. So I like him at 55-1 to spike for a round. Max Grazerman, I don't think has seen this course before, and usually I would stray away from somebody in the first round specifically. But I just love Max Grazerman's profile because he's actually picking up strokes on approach as well. We think of him as a off the tee guy and a putter guy, but he's reined it in off the tee from an accuracy standpoint, and the approach play is really good too. So I think Max Grazerman, who we'll talk about later, is really interesting at 60-1. And then finally, Bud Cauley hasn't played here in quite some time, but has played here a few times. I just love his sort of course fit in terms of him being a ball striker and being able to spike with the putter. 66-1 is fair.
See, Bud Cauley I can get behind. Grazerman makes Ricky Fowler is under those odds, Jason? I mean, what? How?
4 top 20s here. Knows how to step on the gas pedal. Look at that weather, though. Heavy thunderstorm in the afternoon could bring hail and damaging winds. For a guy who's playing a member guest about 20 minutes down the road starting on Thursday, I don't like it. I don't want any of that. It was raining all day today. There's a chance this is one of those, and I know Sia likes targeting those morning guys, but there's a chance that Thursday afternoon gets washed out. They come back out Friday morning in absolutely perfect soft conditions. I don't know how much softer you can get than it's going to be Thursday morning anyway, but Friday morning could be like literally just point and click and just fire away at these flag sticks. So I do like some guys that go off in the afternoon. Aaron Rai is a Thursday superstar, always plays well, prepares himself really well for golf tournaments. And Ricky Fowler, just because EC doesn't like him and doesn't like the number, is absolutely going to lead by 3 after Thursday.
It's a lock. I have to bet on that.
I need to bet it. I think I need to go bet it. Right. You know, another guy that I didn't think had a chance the other week was Jordan Spieth. And Patrick picked him, and Jordan Spieth gave it a run. We're going to talk more Jordan Spieth coming up next after we hear from one of our sponsors.
Get ready.
Wait a second. I thought we were going tubing.
All 3 Sonic the Hedgehog movies and Knuckles are now streaming on Paramount Plus.
And everyone loves it.
Every adventure.
Just try to keep up.
Every face-off.
This ends now.
And every moment that will have you saying,
Where have you been? My entire life!
It's showtime!
All 3 Sonic the Hedgehog movies and the entire Sonic universe are now streaming on Paramount Plus.
All right, let's get to Jordan Spieth talk with one Patrick McDonald. So Spieth won on debut here. Great. Okay, you had that dramatic bunker shot. That was pretty cool. And then I don't think he's posted a top 40 since. So you're playing him over Hideki. Is that how well Jordan's playing or how bad Hideki's playing?
A little bit of both. Definitely eye test. Saw them both just grinding at the range, grinding at Oakmont. Spieth, he's close. He's like, I think 3 weeks away. I think he's going to win like the John Deere Classic if he plays that tournament or something like that. And I think he's going to get a little bit of a bump here based on who he is talking to tomorrow. Check it out on the Golf on CBS YouTube page. And so I think Spieth striking it great. Hideki searching. Hideki's always searching. He's kind of like Nicholas Cage, national treasure, to be fair. But I just like the trajectory Spieth is on right now. And at minus 115, I'll take it.
So if Spieth is good, go ahead, Sia.
I just wanted to say Nicolas Cage is one of the worst actors of all time. I just
Whoa.
One of the worst actors of all time. Like, he's so bad that sometimes I can't even tell whether he's joking or not. Like, I can't tell if it's like a bit or he's actually trying to act.
So you don't want to see him be John Madden in this new movie that they're going to put out?
I didn't know that was a thing, and I'm welling up in tears because that is a tragedy.
Yeah, he is John Madden. So get ready for that. We will do a watch party on Early Edge and Early Wedge with Sia Nejad when the John Madden movie comes out. Sobel, you talked to a lot of players last week. Do any of them get the bump in your matchup column this week?
No.
Oh, okay, that's unfortunate. All right,
I talked to Xander at some point. Last week's all blur. There's a lot of stuff going on last week. I can't remember who I spoke with. I spoke with a lot of players. I talked to Xander at some point. I always talk to Xander before major championships. We got a little thing every Wednesday before major. We hang out and talk for a few minutes. I think, like Sia said earlier, I think Xander's game is in good shape. I go back to a conversation that he and I had back in March when he came back at the API after missing 2 months. I'm like, dude, this is going to be really good long term. When everyone's just hitting the zero, the empty on the odometer on the gas gauge, you're going to have something left in the tank. And so I do think that this is going to be the time. And this is a perfect week for Xander when it's like everyone has been playing golf for 6 straight months and is like, just went from Oakmont to here. Not that Xander didn't. He's played a lot of golf since then, but you just don't feel it as much when you've taken 2 months off. So even though it was a while ago and I got a chance to fade Rory and take an underdog in Xander. Yeah, like I love both sides of that. And then Russell Henley, look, I like him for floor plays. I don't like him for ceiling plays, but Sepp Straka is like sort of sneakily, because I know he's got the wins and a couple other top finishes, but when it's not good, it's really, really not good. It was not good at all 3 majors so far this year. There's no evidence that Sepp's going to turn it around and play really well this week. So I'll take the more known commodity in Henley, at least from a floor perspective.
So, Sia, we saw Bob McIntyre almost win the U.S. Open. Cam Young is the king of almost, and yet you're taking him at plus money over Bob McIntyre.
What is this line? Like to me, this is like the sports books know something that I don't. Yeah, Bobby Mac's been great lately. So is Cameron Young. Like, why is this plus 120 versus minus 150? I think Cameron Young has proven himself that he can be good on this course based on what he did last year. He's proven himself lately from a metric standpoint and a finishing position standpoint. I'm just kind of confused here. I'll just take the plus money. And maybe I won't put a full unit on it. Maybe I'll just put, 0.8 units on it to win a full unit. And I have the liberty to do that at plus 120. So yeah, I respect Robert McIntyre's game, but this could have been plus 100 and I still would have put it out there. So I'm just, again, a little confused as to what this number is all about. Speaking of plus money, this is a half unit, or for some of you, maybe you want to just put a quarter unit on it because it's plus 400. Half unit, I'm winning 2 units, right? So top Englishman, Harry Hall, the other 3 he's going against, as Patrick does the math. I majored in not math, so you can check my work there. Tommy Fleetwood, Aaron Ryan, Matt Fitzpatrick. I just think this number's too long. Like, again, I'm not one of those people that like sets numbers and says, hey, this real, like my model says this should be plus 320, but I actually think it should be in that range. Now, Harry Hall has a wide range of outcomes. I will admit that, and he could absolutely tank here. But what I love about Harry Hall is A, he can lean on the putter, which I absolutely love in a birdie fest. And B, the ball striking and the accuracy off the tee has actually been there for Harry Hall. And I had to really dig deep to find out that was the case. And when I see who he's up against, Matt Fitzpatrick, he's been up and down. He's certainly made somewhat of a comeback, but he's certainly been up and down. Aaron Rye, I think people are going to love him this tournament. Great ball striker. And I heard what Sobel said about him. But at the end of the day, the putter is likely going to let him down. And Harry Hall's the reverse of that. And then Tommy Fleetwood, yeah, we all talk about Tommy Fleetwood in the same way, but I don't know if you noticed, not only is he not winning, but the ball striking hasn't been as good for several tournaments of 2-3 months in a row. So it's still not bad. It's still good stuff from Tommy Fleetwood. It's not nearly as good. So what I think is happening is the popularity of Rye, the comeback of Matt Fitzpatrick, and just the general perception of Tommy Fleetwood keeps pushing this number further and further. I'll take it at plus 400. In fact, it's plus 450. I put that in wrong. BetMGM has this at plus 450. So Matt, forgive me. Please change this. It's definitely plus 450 because I gave it out on the early edge this morning at that number, and I double and triple checked it at BetMGM. So either way, love this.
That's a big one. Yeah, you got to like that one. By the way, great. Hef in the chat makes a great point. Cam Young had a 59 here last year. That certainly can't hurt. You just know he's not going to win. Hey, listen, I got a trivia question for one Patrick McDonald. Do you know the last time Hideki Matsuyama had a top 10 on the PGA Tour?
The century.
When he won the first tournament of the year. Hasn't had a top 10. He hasn't had a top 20 since, I think, February. And we're going to bet him against Russ Henley, who has 3 top 10s in his last 5. I found this at Bet365. Russell Henley minus 120 over Hideki. Sounds good to me. Sign me up. And then top Nordic. I think Alex in the chat asked about Ludwig over Rory. Ludwig, to me, speaking of not having a top 10, he has 1 top 10 since his win at the Genesis at Torrey Pines in February. He top 10 at the Masters. Since then, really hasn't done a heck of a lot. Now, Noren has played 4 tournaments, and his best finish is a T17 since he came back from injury in May. Victor, I mean, he could be the ultimate fade after last week, or he could rise up and continue that good play. But I will take my chances at plus 140 for top Nordic. And yes, I did know where that was on the map. I still have problems with Oceania.
What countries does this include?
This includes Sweden and Norway, basically. See, aren't you proud of me that I knew a little geography?
Any other?
Does it include Finland?
Finland and Denmark, but there's no Finns. Yeah, Finns and Danes.
Oh,
Finns
I got
Danes,
you.
yes.
Nice.
So,
good job.
there you go. Top Nordic.
No Välimäki this week.
No Sammy. Sammy's
I
not
miss
in this one.
Välimäki. Real quick, EC, I was going to take this bet as well. I just want you to know that, like, early in the week when I was looking at the nationality plays, if I hadn't caught the, like, kind of somewhat long shot on Harry Hall, and again, that one is plus 450 at MGM, it was going to be Victor Hovland. So I just wanted to say I like that play as well.
See, I'm going to keep going here. We're going to go kind of down the line because we all organized our finishing positions. You're going conservative this week with a couple of top 30s. Who you got?
Farzad says Sia Nejad, which is funny for some reason. Props to Farzad for being in the chat here. All right, my finishing positions are Akshay Bhatia and Ryan Fox. You know me, I'm always pretty conservative, trying to find plus money, but it's usually not significant plus money. And I got to tell people again, I don't like these as much as round matchups and just general matchups. So generally these are half unit plays for me, but I am confident in these two in particular. Ryan Fox, I do want to start there. Top 30 at plus 130. This includes ties, by the way. What's wrong? Like, what are we just not going to respect Ryan Fox? Like, at what point do we say, okay, Ryan Fox has changed his game around. He's more accurate off the tee. He's always been relatively long, but more accurate off the tee. We've seen what he's done on approach, and it's been pretty consistent lately. And we see what he can do with the putter. I mean, he basically has to finish in the top half of this field, and I'm getting plus 130 for it. So really like that. As far as Akshay Bhatia is concerned, good history here. And he profiles well. He's going to keep it in the fairway, most likely. The putter can get going for Akshay Bhatia. And when I look at some of the metrics, like I looked at like weighted putting and weighted ball striking, things of that nature, but also opportunities, like opportunities plus, which on Rick Run Good, that's like when you hit it within 10 feet or less. Some of the guys I'm taking rate out really well there. And in a birdie fest, I do think that's important just from an aggressiveness standpoint.
All right, let's go on to top 20s now. Patrick, Keegan Bradley ran away with this tournament 2 years ago. Top 20 on him seems pretty good.
The hometown kid, anywhere in the Northeast, even the Mid-Atlantic in some states, it's Keegan Bradley's hometown. So you know he's ready for this one. Playing great golf. Second in this field the last 3 months, tee to green, behind only Scotty Scheffler. Putter starting to come around, getting on more comfortable surfaces. So top 20 plus 125. Sign me up. And then last week, I was walking with Aaron Rye during a practice round. I saw him hit this like disgusting bullet drive up the hill on 9. I was like, all right, I'm in no matter what. Not this week, but next week at TPC River Highlands. So I'm concerned he probably doesn't have the firepower to keep up necessarily, but top 20, absolutely at plus 140.
Sobel, top 10s. We've talked about Jordan Spieth. We've talked about Cam Young. What do you have to add?
Yeah, I feel like this is a point where we should take both Patrick and Sia to task for being so conservative with their finishing position. Sia's going to hit a top 30 in the beginning of the show next week. We're going to go, oh, great hit by Sia. He hit a top 30 in a 32-man field. Wow, that was great. I'm going to be a little more aggressive with my plays. I just stole these. No, I had these already. But Patrick talked all about Jordan Spieth, and Sia talked all about Cameron Young, and I like both of those guys. I think Spieth is very, very ready to go out there and at least seriously challenge for one. He was kind of up there at the Memorial Tournament a few weeks ago, but he's getting really close. Like Patrick said earlier, I think it's coming very soon. The record here, everyone remembers the bunker hole out and the rake toss and pandemonium on the 18th green when he won that playoff against Daniel Berger, but no one knows, like you mentioned, EC earlier, that Jordan Spieth's been outside the top 40 in his last 5 starts at this event. I think that changes. And Cameron Young, I had him for a top 40 2 weeks ago at the RBC Canadian Open. Upped it to a top 20 last week at the U.S. Open. Cashed both of those. I'm going to keep upping it, and he's going to keep cashing for me. Yeah, look, I'm not picking him to win, but I think Cam Young is running a little hot right now.
Along with Cam Young on the do not bet list, which we'll see in the next segment, is Patrick Cantlay. Patrick Cantlay at this course. Horse for the course here. He is top 15 here in his last 7 appearances and top 5 in his last 2 years here. He's gained in every major statistical category in each of the last 5 years here and is 5-2 to the top 15 in signature events this season, including a T4 at the Truist Championship. I think he can top 10. I wish the number was a little bit over plus 200, but I'll take plus 180. And I believe Strange Brew in the chat asked about Brian Harman. Yeah, top 10. How do you not play Brian Harman here? And see, I'll come to you because I know you responded in the chat here. So I know he hasn't played well since his T3 at the RBC Heritage. He won earlier this year at the Valero Texas Open. But in the last 7 times they've played this event, he has 6 top 10s. He has gained nearly 27 strokes tee to green over the last 3 years combined. Sometimes course history supersedes form, and in this case, at plus 450 with ties, I'm taking it. Sia, your rebuttal.
I don't hate it because if you're doing a top 10 here at plus 450, you're basically telling yourself we're going to see Brian Harman of old. Oh, excuse me. We're going to see the Brian Harman from this particular course, and his recent form doesn't matter. And what I think you're saying there is that like the poor play is like I can cast that aside because it's either tremendous upside or it's just like Brian Harman that we've seen over the last few tournaments. I mean, listen, I'm not going to play Brian Harman, but at plus 450 for a top 10, I mean, I was just repping Harry Hall in that plus 450 market. I'd rather play my plus 450 versus yours, but I mean, I can't argue with this number.
Okay, fair enough.
Quick little story time. Quick story time.
We love that. We love that.
This was 8 years ago, something like that. Sitting at the hotel bar, and my brother, who's an idiot, comes to hang out with me, and we're sitting there having a drink, and we're hanging out with these 2 guys, Harris English and Brian Harman, and we're watching. There's like a Mets-Braves game on. My brother starts talking to them about the game. They start talking sports, and we hang out there for an hour, have a couple of drinks with them before dinner, and super nice guys. And we go to pay, and Harman's like, "I got it, man. Don't worry about it." And my brother's like, "Oh, wow, thanks, man." And he just figures it's like 2 random guys at the bar, and some guy decided to just pay for our tab. And he's like, we walk away. He's like, "Wow, that was really nice of that guy." I'm like, "Well, he made like $4 million last year." He's like, "How do you know that?" I go, "Because he's a freaking golfer. Did you not pick up on any of this?" I had no idea. So he went out. I got him a ticket for Sunday. He went out there and followed Brian Harman for 18 holes, his favorite golfer, because he bought him like 2 beers.
Hey, it sometimes it only takes a little. Hey, Sia, I got to ask you. Last week, I believe you had Shane Lowry as your OAD. And Kyle in the chat wants some thoughts on Shane Lowry here in Connecticut. You have any?
No, so I think I had John Rahm as my OAD.
Okay, that's right. But
yeah. I did have Shane Lowry in the without market as one of my outrights.
Yeah.
I think he's fine. Like, I mean, I'm not going to play him. I'm concerned with. The U.S. Open can get anybody, but the putter is like a concern for me as well. If you want to play him, or I'm kind of talking DFS. If you want to bet him, that's fine. I'm not touching Shane Lowry.
If you are watching this show, do us a favor. Please follow SportsLine on YouTube. And please like this video. We always appreciate it. Sia is the best at asking for likes. I appreciate those of you in the chat who do as well. Coming up next, The Do Not Bet list is on week 17. How many have we lost? We'll refresh your memory after we hear from one of our sponsors.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
All right, producer Matt, I'm so excited to show this screen because we are now 16 weeks in since we've done this show, and there's only one line through it. Victor, oh, look at that. He added a separate one with Rory McIlroy this week.
Oh, he's the best.
Many props to you for that one.
Best.
That's great.
We're not going to be drawing a line through that one. Rory, you're on it this week. I'll take it if that happens. Xander Schauffele, by the way, what is he, 12-1, 14-1, something like that, so we don't have to worry about that. Victor Hovland is our only blemish on this list. I'm not worried about Cam Young. Cantlay's the one guy I'd be worried about. But somebody in our trio here is picking Cam Young to do something. So we'll find out next. Patrick, I'm going to start with you. Fortunately, you are not picking Cam Young, but it's always nice when you and I have synergy. Once again, for those of you who don't remember, a few weeks ago, Patrick went single bullet on Ben Griffin outright. I picked him in the without market. Who wins? Ben Griffin at the Charles Schwab. Amazing pick. All right, Patrick, what do you have for us this week?
Our new best friend, Alec, also on Ben Griffin that week.
There you go. That's right. Yes.
Hat tip to him. This week, I have pretty much 3 golfers. If you put them in a lineup, you'd have no idea which is which. And it is Keegan Bradley at 40-1, Russell Henley at 45-1, and Daniel Berger at 66-1. They're going to pound fairways. They're good wedge players, and hopefully they make enough putts to win this golf tournament. And I do have an 11th hour ad based on this black market book I'm currently surveying. I'm seeing a Justin Thomas 41-1.
Whoa.
And I would like to officially add it to my card. I think I know how to play Justin Thomas, and it is the week after a major disappointment because he's not a major championship golfer yet, but he's a great PGA Tour golfer. So I'm going to take that also.
41-1. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not playing great.
Yeah, it's at a place that it makes books. So,
well, it makes okay. Fair enough. All right. Well, producer Matt is gonna add that while he does. Sobel, who you got for your outrights this week?
I need the screen back up so I can see him. No, I know who I picked. I want somebody from the top tier. I think it's tough to overlook the entire top tier at these short field signature events. So I've been off Colin Morikawa for about 2 months now, and I really liked him at one point, probably Players Championship. I think I picked him there, and it just wasn't quite working for him. He almost won API, of course, and then it looked like it was going to be the culmination of big things. Split up with his caddy, got pissed off at the media. That said, I'm back on Colin Morikawa, led the field in strokes gained approach in the final round on Sunday. I always like looking at that stat. Not just strokes gained approach, but strokes gained approach in the previous week, final round going into a week where they're playing again. I know that's a lot of variables there, but it just means that Colin Morikawa 3 days ago was hitting the ball really well and gets to come to a place that should suit his game. 13th last year. Daniel Berger, I'm on with Patrick. I had somebody on Twitter because I probably bet more Berger than anybody else so far this year, whether it's outright or finishing position bets, matchups. And I had someone on Twitter after a couple of miscuts recently say, so we're finally done betting Berger, right? And my answer to this was 2 or 3 weeks ago, was no, I've been waiting all year for the Travelers Championship, and I'm not giving up. If he doesn't do it this week, if he doesn't play well, I'm out on Berger for a while. This is his last chance to get on my card, but I do like the number at 66-1. And then I cannot believe that nobody has mentioned the name Denny McCarthy yet. This is a perfect Denny McCarthy setup. If or when Denny McCarthy is about to get his first career PGA Tour win, it's going to be on a course like TBC River Highlands.
You know, all 3 of those guys you picked, Sobel, are in contention for the Do Not Bet list. I mean, Morikawa has let me down more times. I don't want to talk about Berger and McCarthy a few times this year. Those guys are in contention if we're going to add to the list permanently. Sia, I mean, I have to give you credit. You're playing the without market like I am the without Scotty, Rory, and Xander market. So I'll allow you to play Cam Young at 33-1 in that market.
I love this. Cam Young, 33-1. This best number that you can find again, and without Scotty, Rory, and Xander market is at FanDuel. I think other places that are offering this without market, you might be able to find this at 30-1. Listen, Cam Young I said it already, T4 over the last 2 tournaments, the US Open and the RBC Canadian. T9 here last year. He's gained ball striking 5 tournaments in a row, gained with the putter in 6 tournaments in a row. I understand it's Cameron Young, and for the record, you need to understand, everybody watching, that I don't need him to win because he can finish behind Scotty Scheffler and Xander, which I kind of expect him to do, perhaps, and finish in 3rd place and cash this 33-1 ticket. As we go down the board, Max Grazerman is a really interesting case to me. And it reminds me of the Colin Morikawa pick, because I like Colin Morikawa as well, and I'm playing him in DFS. We talked about that a little bit yesterday, and we'll talk about it again tomorrow during the live chat. But the thing about Colin Morikawa is he was so bad with the putter at the US Open, like so incredibly bad. But like Sobel said, the ball striking was incredible. But if you look at the 4 or 5 tournaments prior to the US Open, Colin Morikawa was pretty great with the putter. So that example is why I actually like Max Grazerman at 55-1 in this without market, because Max Grazerman typically, classically, like last year, Max Grazerman, we were thinking he can putt and he's kind of wild off the tee, but has some distance. Well, now he's kind of reined that in. And if you've noticed lately, he's gaining ball striking, not just off the tee, but with approach as well. And what's interesting is his last 2 tournaments, he's finished, I believe, 25th and 23rd, which are very respectable finishes. But interestingly, lost with the putter pretty significantly in both tournaments. So what I'm seeing is a guy that I expect to rebound with the putter, maybe in a huge way. And now he's doing the ball striking thing that we've never seen from him before. So again, love Max Grazerman. It's part of the reason I have him as a 1st-round leader, in spite of the fact that he's never played here. I've already talked about Ryan Fox. I like these next 2 numbers at 65-1 with him and Harry Hall. Harry Hall is, I think, the biggest of the long shots here. But again, if he can just be really hot with the putter and the ball striking like he has been before, I like it. And Ryan Fox is just a runaway train right now, so I'm just going to keep feeding that beast as well.
Sia, since you're a resident geography expert, I'm going to ask you what these 4 cities have in common right now. Halle, Germany, London, Berlin, and Nottingham in the UK. What do those have in common?
I have no idea.
They are all... no, I'm not going to try that first one. Let me tell you, they're all hosting tennis tournaments, which is what you parlay Sam Burns and Russell Henley with to enhance your value. We've got 16 matches tomorrow morning. This is how you make some money in the without market. Just wanted to throw that.
EC.
Jason, you go first.
Hang on. EC, you make it sound like parlaying all these tennis matches is easy money. Then you just got to win the golf bets. Why don't you leave out the golf bets? Just parlay all the tennis matches and you'll be like breaking it in.
Nah, come on. It makes it fun. Then you wake up on the West Coast, you wake up and you see, okay, this match went to 3 sets, this match went to 3 sets, and Sam Burns went from 25-1 to 105-1. That is how you do it.
Do you ever lose on the tennis part? You make it sound like, oh yeah, I'm just going to parlay it with 19 tennis matches, and hopefully my guy wins this week and I'll win the parlay. Like, you've got to win all the tennis matches too.
But EC, when you hit Ben Griffin, I'm pretty sure you had that tied into some parlays, right? That was like
I did. I had 2 tennis. I even had like single A tennis in there. Sia. That's how lucky I was with Ben Griffin that week. We had single A women's tennis, and then I think another women's tennis match or a men's tennis match that was in there. Listen, Sam Burns, he's played great. What can you say? I mean, I feel bad for Sia with that ticket last week. Should have won arguably the last 2 weeks. And with the exception of Sunday's final round, he's playing incredible golf. He's gained strokes putting in 13 straight events, and he's the best putter on tour statistically by a long shot. But what's most encouraging to me, gained almost 7.5 strokes on approach at Oakmont, 4.5 strokes on approach in Canada. I think he's going to contend again this week if he can keep his head straight. Patrick talked about Russ Bus here. I mean, he's playing really well. Was T10 last week, didn't even have his best stuff. Gained more than 5 strokes on approach for his 2nd straight event. And he's working on the putter. The only problem that I have with Russ Bus in a birdie fest, can he go this low? Can he shoot 20 under par? I mean, I had to do a little homework, Patrick. I had to do a little homework. No, he hasn't shot over 20 under par or under 20 under par since I think over under something like. Regardless, he hasn't gone above. 21.
Shot better than.
Thank you.
Yes.
In like 3 years on tour, all these events. Come on. Come on.
Yeah, he's just waiting to burst out.
He's waiting to burst out. When you and I share a pick and my tennis picks hit tomorrow, I'm going to feel really good about it. So let's go Russell Henley and Sam Burns. Go ahead, Sia.
Somebody who, of course, is Farzad, I believe, who is watches the early edge every morning. Just so everybody knows, Mike McClure has been giving out tennis picks, not just for the French Open, but for I don't even know what the tournament was, but he gave out a pick on Medvedev that hasn't happened yet. So if you want to jump in on that, go back and watch the early edge or listen to the podcast.
He's stepping on EC's turf like that.
I know. I talked to him about it.
Listen, M squared's a genius.
I'm in your corner, EC. Come on.
Thank you. We all need our parlays. And speaking of parlays, I can't even believe what I just saw on this sheet. We'll get to that in a second. Sobel, we're going to start with you. Give us some long shots that we – oh, wait. Another guy we talked about earlier in the show. Who is it, Sobel?
Nick Taylor's trying to make the best putt of his career on an 18th hole. Maybe he'll do it Sunday and cash 90-1 tickets. Nick Taylor's record here is atrocious. He was going to be my first click. I know Sia likes to go on social media and ask everyone for their first click of the week. And I was like, as soon as I looked at the odds, I'm like, Nick Taylor 90-1. I saw him in triple digits somewhere early, and that vanished because people were probably betting it. 23rd, 13th, and 4th, his last 3 starts. Last year, he finished 42nd at this event. That's not very good. It was 22 spots higher than he'd ever finished in 7 previous starts here. I don't understand it. The golf course should suit him well. I mentioned it earlier. I'm going to talk to Nick tomorrow. So I'm going to be like, dude, like, what's up? Like, this should really suit your game and you haven't played well. How come? And are you going to play well this week? And are you going to cash 90-1 tickets? So I do like that. And then I'll go number hunting on Eric Cole. I think Eric Cole's at some point going to win a tournament. It could be a big one. I don't think he'll back down from the big boys if he gets into contention somewhere. 170-1 is just a big number.
Mm-hmm.
Will you please do us a favor and ask Nick Taylor if his putt in Canada was more famous than JJ Spawn? Will you just?
He already said he would.
I just want to remind him one more time.
The question will be: would you rather? See, he's Canadian. He's probably going to stick with what he did, but
he won his open.
Inside, he's like, nah, I want the major. But yeah, no, the Canada stuff's good. I mean, I can go back home and I don't have to pay for drinks. I don't have to pay for dinner anywhere in the entire country. I can go to Moose Jaw, I can go to Alberta, I can go wherever, and they're like, you're Nick Taylor, you're the logo. Here's a drink, but here's a Labatt's. But that said, you're still taking JJ Spawn.
You're the logo. That's all you need to say. He's a logo. JJ Spawn isn't. All right. Sia, I love doing parlays. We have them all over SportsLine. By the way, if you don't have a SportsLine subscription, David Talk brought it up in the chat. If you don't have a SportsLine subscription, on the joint page right now, it's full price. If you want a discounted subscription, hit me up on X. I'll give you a promo code. Simple as that. Sia, this is unlike any parlay we have seen on this program in all 17 shows thus far this year on the Best Bet Show. Can you please explain it?
I never do this, but because my long shots were kind of in the short enough shots to be on the main screen page, I was like, all right, let me put a parlay together. I actually think this is realistic. Now, is it going to hit? Almost definitely not, because 1 or 2 of these guys is going to let me down. However, I think all of these guys are tucked into the right markets. This is a 7-person parlay in the top 40 to start it off. By the way, this does not include ties, because this type of parlay you can only, as far as I know, you can only do on DraftKings, and there, even though they have an including ties page, you can't do parlays there. So this is just like, you got to be inside the top 30. And if it's a tie, then it's going to get cut down significantly. But inside the top 40, we start out with 4 guys: Harry Hall, Max Grazerman, Bud Cauley, and Ryan Fox. Then we move to the top 30. We just need Akshay Bhatia there. Then we move to the top 20. We need Cameron Young there. And then Xander Schauffele to top 10. It pays 74.54. In other words, 75-1. I will say the original iteration of this was Ryan Fox to be in the top 30 as opposed to 40, but I went more conservative. If you were to do that, or just like add another element, but if you were to add Ryan Fox top 30 instead of top 40, it is 107-1. Anyway, one of these is going to inevitably fail, if not 2 or 3, but I am these are all guys in my research that I really liked. And so I'm trying to put them in places that I think are reasonable. 75-1. Let's go.
Sia, I've never been more proud of you on the show than a 7-leg parlay in the long shot section. Patrick, we haven't talked about Scotty Scheffler. Didn't he win this event last year?
He did, in a playoff.
He's less than 3-1 to win. Shouldn't we all be betting Scotty Scheffler to win?
Well, you guys are betting without him. Probably the smart play.
I mean, speaking of parlays, I'm going to throw him in a parlay here to win with my other two guys that I bet to finish below him, Sam Burns and Russell Henley. We're getting 50 to 1 on that. And then Brian Harmon, we talked about him earlier, 80 to 1. I feel embarrassed that I believe Sobel had McCarthy at 80 to 1 on the regular screen, and I put Harmon at 80 to 1 on the long shot screen. But it's okay. I'm trying here. I rarely give outrights on this screen, but you have to include Brian Harmon at 80 to 1. He is absolutely worth a parlay. And you might not even need to go that deep in tennis to get him in at a really good number. So I just want to point that out. You can get him at 200 to 1 by adding probably just one pick. So there you go. Let's move on to OAD here. Let's see. Okay, moved up a little bit. That's good. Sobel, wow, you're moved up a little bit. Patrick, you well, listen, you should be. I moved up a little, but you should be a lot higher. You just didn't put your pick in. You and producer Josh didn't put your pick in for a $4 million Scotty Scheffler win. So that's why you had to copy my pick this week. But all right, let's see. Nobody wants my pick. They all want yours. Who you got?
Well, I got Xander left. And I've been making the statement over the last 2 days that I'm not a Xander guy, but I think he's back. And I think he might prove it this week. I just love how everything is starting to click. Not necessarily always at the same time, but I've seen enough evidence across the board where I actually do think his game is back. And I think what Jason said about the fatigue factor, I think that gives him a level of physical confidence, but also like mental confidence as well. Because he probably sees all these guys that have been playing tirelessly over the last few months where he hasn't necessarily had to do that. So I just think it's a really good setup for him. I have him left. All my other, big time players in this tournament, I still have like Oberg and some other guys. I think I might still have Hovland. I'm not sure, but it's Xander for me this week.
Sobel, Denny.
Yeah, well, it's getting to be game theory time for me. It's like all or nothing. Let's take somebody at with some leverage that's low owned this week and see if we can't hit for a $4 million payday and work our way up the board. I'm just going to try to hit guys who maybe aren't necessarily long shots, but guys that won't be picked by too many people for the rest of the summer and see if we can win it that way.
It's a Sia Nejad term, game theory. Patrick, there's no game theory with us. We got the winner.
We do, and I'm boxing you out until
that's fine.
The rest of the season. I didn't even look at the. I am not coming in last.
I mean, I would not, unless I hit a $4 million winner somewhere that you don't. I mean, we know you would have won had you put in Scotty Scheffler. All right,
I just hope we have the same people left.
Patrick is going to the OAD version of The Price is Right, just going $1.
Yes.
Just to undercut everything EC does.
Awful. I'm waiting to put my pick in last now. All right, let's move on to story time. We got Sobel at one of his home events. You lived in Connecticut for a while. Tell us some Travelers Championship stories while we look at the recap screen.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of great stories that come to mind. I mean, I probably do, and I've forgotten most of my. I usually had to go home at the end of the night as opposed to being on the road for this one. So stories aren't great. I'm just gonna tell the story of this golf tournament. We go back to 2006. This one started, I believe, in 1952 as the Insurance City Open. Has been held at TPC River Highlands for about 40 years now. And back in 2006, it was the GHO, and it was going to be off the schedule. I mean, it was literally crossed off the 2007 schedule. It was going to maybe be a senior event, but they were going to try to salvage something, but it was gone. And Travelers came in and said, at the 11th hour, we will take over this tournament if you can keep it on the schedule. They kept it. For a while, it was just, hey, it's a nice tournament. It's in the middle of Connecticut. They don't have a whole lot of big-time professional sports here. It's, halfway between Boston and New York. I mean, the UConn women's team is the biggest thing in the state other than this. And so the community really rallies around it, and Travelers essentially got behind it and has put a ton of investment behind it, both time and money and people. And what you see now, and I get it. Look, I get how these things work. They didn't make it a signature event because Travelers did a really good job and they wanted to reward them. Travelers put up the money, and that's why it's a signature event, and that's why all the big names are coming. But it wasn't just putting up the money. It was saving it, 19 years ago. It was investing in it, investing in the community, all these things that guys like Andy Bissett, the COO from Travelers, Nathan Grube, the tournament director, and all these great people who've become good friends of mine over the years just because they're good people and they do good things, and they've gotten rewarded. This is a karma event because everything they've done for this event, the time and the effort they've put in has come back to them. And yes, they have bought themselves a signature event, but essentially they were able to work their way onto the schedule to get all these big names, and they deserve everything they get.
Do we know anything, by the way, speaking of signature events, any changes in line for next year? Is it too early to talk about that?
I spoke with the new CEO today. Safe to say he does not know yet. He doesn't know anything yet. He was asked about 15 questions in the press conference and pretty much every answer. And I like the guy. I mean, just at first blush, like, seems like a pretty straight shooting guy. Like, the bullshit meter wasn't really going off for me. Like, it's kind of, I don't know, seems like he's going to be okay. Everyone with the NFL, at least that I've heard from, said he's, pretty good. So I don't know, but he didn't have any answers. He's like, look, first day on the job, we'll get there. I'm going to learn a whole bunch of stuff. I'm going to, sit in a bunch of meetings. I'm going to talk to as many people as I can. We'll figure it out, but there are no answers yet.
I'm just waiting for the match play draft or the team draft that we talked about earlier to be implemented. We need to talk. You need to use your influence there, Sobel. Great stuff. Have a great time up there. Sia, tell us what's coming up this week. You're doing a lot of shows as always. What do we have with Early Wedge?
Well, on this channel, we've got the Early Edge tomorrow at 10, but of course, the Early Wedge live chat is tomorrow at 4 o'clock. It'll be me and Mike McClure answering really any questions anybody has. Whether maybe you like a matchup, maybe you like a finishing position, you want an answer, whether Mike or I endorse it. Maybe you have an ownership question in DFS or roster construction question. Mike's really good about that type of stuff in the game theory side of it as well. So tomorrow at 4 o'clock, make sure you get on the SportsLine YouTube channel and comment, ask, whatever you need to do.
Another great show, guys. Always fun being on with you. Producer Matt behind the scenes. Fantastic job as always. For Patrick McDonald, Sia Nejad, and Jason Sobel, I'm Eric Cohen. As I always like to say, let's hit it big. Good luck.